Well, if I may borrow the well-known words of Maple Leafs play-by-play broadcaster Joe Bowen, holy Mackinac! It's Friday, and we are about to cap the first month of the Sportsline Podcast on CHCH. Thank you so much for all the amazing feedback. It certainly motivates me and the team to keep working hard. Today on the pod, we're going old school with junior hockey. Who knew it, but the Grimsby Peach Kings of the OHA's Provincial Junior Hockey League are over a century old. Going deep with all the history of this legendary franchise who have produced numerous NHLers is a woman who is highly educated, experienced in the business of writing and editing. In fact, the local hockey lover has written a book called The Grimsby Peach Kings, 1922 to 2002. So happy to say hello to today's guest, author Sarah Allingham.
Hello.
It's great to see you here.
It's great to be here.
I'm telling you, I mean, you connected with me and we talked a little bit about what you do and what made you write this book. And I thought people have to know this because this is something that if you're from this area, first of all, the Grimsby Peach Kings may be the best name of all time for a hockey team.
That's for sure.
But, you know, it certainly makes me wonder, why write a book?
Yeah. Well, I was asked to do this, and I was just thrilled about it. Like, you know, just being a born and raised Grimsby, and loving the history of my town and everything with that, you know, with the Peach Kings being 100 years, you know, it's a huge part of our history. So just honored to put this book together. And then through a process, I ended up having to publish it myself, and because it's too important of a story not to release. So I made some moves and just made it happen. So I'm really happy the community's getting it, and you know, to be on your show now, to, you know, get the word out too, because there's a lot of people. I'm shipping these things all over across Canada. I've got one to go down to Florida today, so you know, it's really picking up. There's a lot of fans all over the place. So
before we get into the book itself, here we gotta know a little bit about yourself, and like I meant it, highly educated. I mean, holy, you've done some schooling, that's for sure. And I do see that you're, you know, in terms of, especially if you were in print and in television, even radio as well too, you have become highly skilled in the act of, you know, editing and writing. I mean, is that just a personal love for you?
It is. It's something like, I've been a word nerd my whole life, you know.
A word nerd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like spelling, grammar was always like my favorite subject right from, you know, grade 1. And throughout my teenage years, and high school, you know, a lot of my English teachers were, you know, you should get into writing, you should get into writing. And I always kind of just put it behind me. And then I originally went into school for psych. And after a year of that, it was a little bit like, I'm not really ready for that. I have some growing to do myself. So I took a year off and really thought about, what do I love to do? Because if you're doing something that you love, you never really work, right?
That's right.
So that's why I kind of followed through with the journalism. With journalism, what I love about it so much is getting the story. I used to do a lot of creative writing when I was younger, and I kind of got away from that. It's hard putting your own story out. It's very vulnerable and things. A lot of people can do it, and you know, I'm getting back to that actually now with how much writing I've been doing over the past few years, and but I just love journalism to get a story and bring it to light and make awareness around it. And
it's a special person with special skills that's able to do that.
Yeah.
And you've been part of several other publications as well, too.
Yeah. I worked in community newspapers, Niagara News and Niagara Falls, Welland St. Catharines. I contributed to there as well. Actually, I used to do the sports reports and the sports columns and all the stats sheets and everything.
This is where it comes from.
So, and then, and I worked for a magazine, What's Up, Canada's Family Magazine. It is now out of existence, but that was a wonderful time there, and I interviewed Don Cherry when I was at that magazine, so that was really interesting.
The controversial,
you know, the kind of hockey sports thing has kind of just always been there, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, to put this book together was just an absolute thrill. Yeah.
Did you play hockey?
No. I do skate. I haven't for a very long time, but I never played hockey. I never. I did grow up at the arena, but just goofing around basically, and watching the games as well. Like I grew up watching the Peach Kings at the arena in the '90s, and you know, and it's neat to to meet with a lot of the people too, who like the theme of the book is once a Peach King, always a Peach King, because it's people who played years and years ago. You know, they end up coming back to coach or train or just volunteer at the arena and be part of the family still. You know.
Well, I think that's a great word, family, and I think especially when you get associated with the team, it becomes almost a family.
Yes, and the people that I've met through this, it's very evident of that. You know, the connection of the real Peach Kings. They're really connected, and there's a real love and a family vibe there for sure.
I do these sportscasts here. I've been at CHCH for some times now, and we get into Glanbrook Rangers.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about all these teams.
The Glanbrook rivalry.
Yeah, the big rivalry. I know there's a rivalry there, but I think what's so great about this league, I'll start with the league first. I mean, we're not talking about, Hamilton. We're not talking about St. Catharines. We're not talking about Kitchener. We're talking about some of the smaller communities in our the OHA is a big league.
Yes.
The Provincial Junior Hockey League is a big league as well. The division itself, I think it's the Bloomfield division that the Peach Kings are in. Boy, you're getting right into wine country with these teams, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. The Niagara region is very well known already for its vineyards and its orchards and everything, which is, where the name comes from as well. Peach Kings, like way back in the day, before all the houses were in and everything, it was just orchards everywhere. And in fact, the Grimsby Beach area was actually an amusement park, going back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. And the owner of this amusement park, Harry Wiley, I feel like there's a name in there I'm missing. Harry Hilliard Wiley, I think his full name was. Anyway, he owned the amusement park, and he came up with the name. And he's from Ohio originally, but, come to here and to Canada and built this whole amusement park and everything down there. It was very, very different down at the Grimsby Beach in those days. It was quite an attraction. And he's the one who made up the name. And so that came up before 1922. They joined the OHA in 1922, but they were already the Peach Kings just before that. And that name is stuck. And over time, there's been some suggestion to change the name, but I don't think it can be.
You can't. It's the greatest name. Of all the names that I say when I'm giving some scores, and I know you guys play for the Schmaltz Cup, I mean, in the end, which is the Big Daddy trophy. Yeah. I mean, look at the success that you guys have had over the years in terms of winning titles. I mean, this has been a long time, a long-standing hockey franchise that has gone through, again, some changes over the years. And as I said, there was a couple of years there where they weren't playing, but they've been overall very successful. And they've come, like you say, I think the most important part, especially for some of these things, part of the community. And on the other side of it, I just put the name of some familiar names that have gone on to great things in the National Hockey League. Yes. Probably Steve Mason is a guy from Oakville that I know very well that played goaltender for the Philadelphia Flyers and the Columbus Blue Jackets. But look at some of those names. You got Hall of Famers on that have gone through the program that have played National Hockey League.
Yeah. And these big careers started in little old Grimsby, so it's pretty impressive to have that kind of reputation behind it with all the success and everything. And then just in the past, 20 years, they've gotten to the provincial playoffs like 4 times, and have succeeded. Sorry. A lot of that is it's the coaching staff and the training team. Dave Brownridge is an amazing coach. He's been on since 1999, I believe. And I think he's celebrating his 25th season, and it's just incredible that he's stuck with the team that long. He's really turned them around. They're a very, very impressive team. They're respectful. They're delightful. They care about each other and the town and the team and the franchise and all of that. It's really good.
And what I'm seeing too is that a lot of these, and I mean, they put up some of those former players, they like to give back by coming back.
Oh, yes. Over the years, there's been many reunions and exhibition games against, the current team and past players and things. So those are always a fun time too, to kind of see the older guys out there back on the ice, but just as good as they were years ago. Sorry about that. It's pretty cool.
Now, all this comes together in what is going to be a book. I mean, putting together a book, if for someone that has never done it, there's a lot of arms and legs and things that got to go right.
Yes.
Let's start at, how this all happened, the beginnings of saying, okay, I'm going to take this project on.
Yeah. Well, I took this project on just for the excitement of doing this for my community. I obviously have a passion of Grimsby, born and raised, right? And I was put in touch with somebody, Marilyn Owen, and her husband Al. And, she's got the passion of the town just like I do. And she is, in her own free will, collected bits and pieces of the Peach Kings history over the past few decades, so she's got quite a collection. And that's where my starting point was. So she gave me a binder of some bullet points of, specific things of championship wins and certain players, to mention, and it led me to contact other people to build on the story and build on the story. So initially you kind of just map out, how I want to format it. So breaking it down by decades I thought was really smart because it just kind of breaks it up and it's easy to go to and you can easily flip to, I sold one to my uncle and he started reading the 70s right away.
Right away.
Shout out to Uncle Tom. Because that's the area that he knows, and he just couldn't handle it. He just wanted to read that part first. So it's kind of in a nice order that way. And then as you do the research and keep it in that chronological sequence, you just fill it and research more. If you find out something, it's like, well, I want to find out more about that to get it in. Some things don't get in because it's just you can't have everything in it. If this book was to tell the entire story and have everybody's name in it, it'd be thicker than the Bible. It'd be quite it's definitely quite a story.
But that's the thing. If I could interrupt there for a second, that's the one thing I think a lot of people. How many pages is the book?
It's about 170.
So you've gotten over 100 years of information, artifacts, pictures in there. And this is where I guess your skill as an editor really comes in. Yeah.
I had to break down a lot of stuff just to kind of what's most important, significant here, because, to go on and on, I publish this myself. So obviously page count and things, keeping within a certain margin because of my budget and things, but yeah, I think it tells the story really well. It has a lot of fun little details that people don't know about, and obviously the big things. It's definitely got all of that, and the NHL players that have come from our town, and the great successes, and also some failures. Like you mentioned earlier about they were on a hiatus for a few years. Like in the 50s, they were really struggling to get players, and they only had about 5 players on the team, literally playing the entire game. So they're just exhausted, and it's you can imagine how well the play was or not well, so they're just not very good. No, so
high effort, but
yeah, they were giving it all they could, but really struggling out there on the ice. So unfortunately, the Legion was sponsoring them at the time, the Grimsby Legion, and they had to pull their sponsorship because it just wasn't. Anyway, so yeah, they folded from 1956 all the way up to 68. Some business people got together and brought it back to life, and they came back as a Junior B team, and then since they've gone from Junior B to Junior C, and that's where they're at right now. Initially, back at the beginning, they started off as intermediate. So they've kind of been all over the map, but in the OHA, the way it's structured from, back in the 20s to now, they've obviously gone through a lot of changes and more organizing and adding more levels and leagues throughout to kind of, accommodate all the different communities and levels of success and everything.
Well, you would say the keyword levels there for me, and I think people would think, okay, well, Junior A would be, major Junior A obviously being the likes of the Bulldogs and the Ice Dogs, and that's one level of hockey. And I think there's maybe a stigma when they hear Junior C, they think C level hockey. Yeah. But in some ways, it's provincial Junior B, is it not? In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And if I go to one of these games, which I have, I'm entertained. It's good hockey.
Yes, it really is good hockey. And even in the past few years, they got new owners back in 2018, and it's been a great team because they've added a little bit more to the arena. For the ambiance of being at the good old hockey game. They got live music. They've got the Peach Pit open. They're selling.
What is the Peach Pit?
The Peach Pit is the little pub.
Oh,
The little
okay.
beer.
We
beer
like
tent
refreshments.
thing.
We like refreshments.
But it is fun, right? Because a lot of guys like to go and have a beer, watch the game, you know. So it's kind of added a little bit of fun in there, you know. That casual, laid back, you know, Grimsby vibe, I guess. And it's got it at that arena for sure.
Gotta love it. Now, so the book is all put together. You've done the editing.
Yeah.
What are the next steps now?
Well, now it's just getting it out and selling. You know, obviously, I'm still doing writing and editing. I've actually been in touch with somebody who's looking to write a romance fantasy novel. So that's a bit of a change from the sports, but looking for an editor. So hopefully we connect on that and get that work done. And what's next for me, though, actually, I'm moving to New Brunswick.
Wow.
So I bought a house out there a few months ago, and just with getting the book released and everything, and this back and forth, like I'll always come back to Grimsby. Grimsby's my home. And, you know, I've just gone through some changes in my life for the past few years, and I go out there quite a bit, and it's that laid back lifestyle that I'm looking for. And, you know, like I was saying earlier about getting more into creative writing, you know, part of that is coming from being out there and being in the woods and on the water and, you know, just that.
So that's not a, like sometimes people just say those kind of things, but that's real, isn't it? Like
It is real.
When you go to
East
areas
Coast
like
life.
that,
East Coast
your
lifestyle.
creativity just starts to flow.
It does. Because it's your clearer mind, you know, like here it's a lot of hustle and bustle and things going on. You can get distracted really easily, you know, and out there, where I live, I've got like 4 acres of woods and you know, so I can kind of go out and wander and let my mind wander, and ideas are coming up. So, you know, there may be a fiction novel coming up in my near future. Who knows?
Well, you know, the likes of a Stephen Brunt, who's been around for many, many years writing sports. I mean, I know he goes out east as well, too, does a lot of fishing, and I know he does a lot of book writing as well, too. So, when you said that, it just
inspired.
It resonates with a lot of, you know, something. There must be something there.
Yeah, it's something. It's the air. It's just cleaner or something. I don't know, the freshness and.
Like I think he said the hustle and the bustle.
Yeah. When everything slows down a bit, you know, and your mind can wander, you know, and then that's where really good stories come from. Just let your mind wander.
Hence probably why being in Grimsby really resonated with you in terms of writing this book.
Yeah.
So now that people, how do we get this book? Like, how do we get? I think you're out there selling it as well.
I am. Yeah, I'm hustling them every day, and you can get them. I'm selling them at the games personally, so I can sign copies and things. So at their home games, I'm at the Grimsby Peach King Center, and so I'll be there tonight actually from 6 till 9 selling the books, and it's also available at Teddy's, which is a bar downtown Grimsby. Teddy's Food, Fun and Spirits. That's been a Peach King hub for years, you know, so you can just go up to the bar there and ask the bartender, and they got them right there for you. $25 each, taxes in.
It's nothing.
At the bar, it is cash only. At the arena, through me, I can do cash, credit, debit, e-transfer, whatever. Whatever works.
You know, and to kind of get back into the book for a little bit here, and I know there's so many good things here. Did you experience any negativity, though, from at all? You know, sometimes some of these things can be, especially when you're going way back, can be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I don't really experience like negativity. It's just, it's hard to bring up. Like, it would be good to have a bit more support from the team in my town in this. But other than that, it's been a wonderful experience. You know, there's just been like the Peach King family. You know, it's a very positive bunch, a very humble bunch too. And yeah, so I can't say that there's anything really negative. You know, I got it out there, so it's just all good vibes. Good times from here on out, I think. So.
Well, we like that.
Yeah, but it took a lot to get to this point, though, to get it out finally. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to giving it a read because I'm extremely curious to know what has gone on in the last over 100 years of the Grimsby Peach Kings. Because, like I said, there's just something about that name. And as I said, when I started to look a little deeper and see how many players from the National Hockey League have gone through the program or at least gotten their start there or whatever, there has to be something to the success and why they've been around for 100 years.
Yes.
Sarah Allingham. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick mention about, like in the early years, you know, it's not just about the players and the people and stuff. It's about the Grimsby Arena itself. Originally, it's one of only 4 in all of Canada of an indoor arena, and one of only 8 in the entire world back in the 20s. So the other ones in Canada there was one in Port Colborne, Hamilton, Maple Leaf Gardens, and the Grimsby Arena. So it was an old fruit, like a fruit storage facility, and it was originally built by Colonel Robert Nels, who was one of the founders of Grimsby. And this building was basically used for, storing the fruit in the summer to preserve it. But in the winter, it was just kind of standing still. So some ideas were brought up about making it an indoor arena. So that happened, and it opened its doors January 4th, 1922. Is the same day that the Peach Kings joined the OHA. So it's really significant, and special to know that our little town had one of the world's one of the original arenas, indoor arenas, and the Canadian the Montreal Canadiens had come and done their summer training there back in those early days. And so there's a really neat thing there that you can read in the beginning of the book. And I know that there's a lot of people a lot of Peach King fans and family members that think that they know it all, but I'm sure there's something for everyone to learn in this book.
And I think and what I've actually learned is there are a lot of junior hockey historians out there. So they're going to really, really enjoy this book. And I think going back to that, what you're talking about, any hockey fan, you go into hockey arenas nowadays, I'm just going to say the truth, kind of generic, kind of stale, kind of all the same. But when you go to see a Peach Kings game, or there's other barns that are around, even the old Andrewchuk Arena here in Oakville, which has had some changes as well too. When you go into those old barns, you feel the hockey. Yeah, you feel it.
You can smell it. It's in the walls. It's been there for so long. Right. Like the arena they're in now has been there since 1984. Yeah. And it's actually going to be going through a bit of a revamp. They're going to do some work to that building.
I get it. You got to modernize.
You got to modernize.
I get it.
But yeah, there's something like their dressing room is still. They did some updating, I think, in the late '90s. But it's the old. You could tell it's had some going ons in there for sure over the years.
Well, I guess that's why they call it the good old hockey game.
Yeah, that's right.
Sarah Allingham, so much a pleasure for me to have you here on the Sportsline Podcast to talk about this book. Local hockey fans, you certainly want to be a part of this. You want to get this book. As I said, only $25 for a lot of history and a lot of good times.
Yes, definitely.
It's been a great time to have you here with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, folks, that's your Sportsline Podcast for the week. And as I always ask, if you do know of an athlete, team, or an event to promote, the Sportsline Podcast do want to hear from you and want to tell your story. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button wherever you watch your fine podcasts. For the talented minds and hands that make the Sportsline Podcast possible, I thank you, and we will see you on Tuesday.